Tonight on Business Live, ensure more efficiency in revenue collection, stop taxing the limited few. Economist Professor Peter Quartey urges government at a post-budget discussion attended by private sector businesses. We will fill you in. Also coming up tonight, Talo announces a $370 million development drilling campaign to explore oil reserves. Meantime, government plans to review contracts with existing oil firms. We'll tell you why. Plus, on the Joy Business van, we head to Limex Food Processing Company, which is making Ghanaian meals popular. We'll tell you how in our special Ghana Month series. Thanks for being with us. My name is Darryl Kwao. Government has been taxed to ensure tax efficiency and automate systems to plug all revenue loopholes, with the introduction of some new taxes amid tax rebates for struggling businesses. Captains of industry at the just ended Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry virtual seminar on the 2021 budget explore strategies and incentives needed to remain resilient amid the austerity of the budget. There's more in this report.
Economist Professor Peter Quartey has called for efficiency in government revenue collection regime. Taking his turn at the virtual seminar by the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Professor Quartey, in response to the introduction and upward adjustment of some taxes and levies, argued that government should have explored other ways of expanding the tax net.
It would have some positive effects on business, and I think that has to be highlighted. We've seen a lot in the CARES program, the CARES of Atampa program, supporting private businesses with soft loans of 100 billion with other activities. Certainly, if government is able to find the money, I think that will help. I see in that program that government will provide 30% of the funding, and then 70% is going to come from the private sector. But my question is, if the private sector is already struggling, I don't know how well that can be achieved. Perhaps we may have to look at the funding arrangements, because in 2021, that might be difficult. Perhaps in the years ahead, government will be able to get more from private sector to fund this laudable program.
Meanwhile, senior partner with KPMG, Kofi Frimpong Kore, says despite the introduction of new taxes, businesses must also be tax compliant to take advantage of various tax rebates and waivers government is offering in the 2021 budget.
If I was giving them allowances that are taxable, did I tax them? If you did not tax them, then you need to now rework all the taxes that you should have. So you need to have a thorough review of your own operations from all transactions. VAT. Did you apply all the VAT that you should supposed to have applied? And if you did, have you filed all the returns that you should have filed? And mind you, if you don't also file your returns on the due dates, they all attract these penalties that we are talking about. So it's very, very important that businesses will sit back, what I would call will retreat and review their transactions or their activities from the prior years or from the prior activities to be able to understand and appreciate how much they owe, and so that we take advantage of these incentives that have been provided in the budget.
Speaking to Joy Business, the president of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Clement Osei-Amoako, charged businesses to brace themselves for the cost element in the 2021 budget.
COVID has brought a lot of difficulties on us as a country and even the world at large. And so a time has come for us to swallow the bitter pill. Some of the levies that were introduced were very essential. As I said, some taxes are necessary evil. The country must be focused into the future. The government was confronted with a debt stock of about 291 billion, both domestic and international, and also have in his arms either to go for loans or perhaps increase tax as a revenue. And looking at our debt stock, it was not encouraging for us to go borrowing again.
The GNCCI virtual seminar on the 2021 national budget was themed Prospects for Recovery, Resilience and Competitiveness for the Private Sector Growth.
Meanwhile, Managing Director of the Bank of Africa, Kobi Anda, has lamented the financial sector cleanup levy of 5% before a tax introduced in the 2021 budget. Now, taking his turn at the seminar organized by the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Anda described the tax as punishment for good banks that survived the banking crisis. He wants a review and rather some reliefs for banks.
Most the average tax, the effective tax rate is 25%. The effective tax rate for a bank now is 35%, because we pay a 5% tax, which is not deductible, the stabilization development levy. Yes, we pay. No, before the cleanup. And then now they are proposing that we pay an additional 5%, which totals 10%. You add to our 25%, we are paying 35%. So every profit we make, government takes 35% of it. And that's huge. And you have investors who have money in the who invested in the banks for a return. Why are they being penalized? Because they invested in a bank. I mean, they have the option of investing in any other industry. And the point I was making was the banks which survived the cleanup, which means that those banks had been certified indirectly as being clean. Why do we have to pay the burden of the failures? And we don't see any action being taken on the failures, and we don't know what is happening. We don't know how much of the money has been recovered. We don't know how much would be recovered in the end, or is expected to be recovered over what time frame. We don't have any visibility there, and I think because it's our money as Ghanaians, we need to know what is going on. Yeah.
All right, so the banks reacting to the levy on profit before tax. As we speak, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has begun its second meeting for the year. Now, key issues dominating discussions include the city stability, rising debt stock, and the fast-tracking of economic recovery. But how crucial is this meeting, and why should you be worried about the decisions taken? George Afe has details.
Meeting is happening at a time that all data points to a sound banking sector despite COVID-19 shocks. But the challenge now is how the Bank of Ghana ensures that it uses all the policy measures in its fold to ensure that the banking sector is immune or not affected by the happenings on the fiscal front, like the rise in public debt stock. The governor of the Bank of Ghana, who is also the chairman of the Monetary Policy Committee, was worried about how the second COVID-19 wave may pose a bigger threat to the recovery of the economy and even the banking sector. But with the deployment of vaccines, one is not sure whether the governor of the Bank of Ghana may revise his note. The Ghana cedi has been fairly stable for the first 2 months of this year, and there are projections that it could strengthen further due to Eurobond inflows. But the central bank want to introduce further actions to consolidate these recent gains. The monetary policy of the Bank of Ghana would also look at all the development in the economy and see whether they should use the policy rate, which currently stands at 14.5%, to correct some market distortions. This is basically the rate at which it lends to commercial banks, which can be used to mop up excess liquidity in the market and check inflation, which has seen a marginal pickup to hit 10.3% for the month of February. Reviewing the policy rate could also impact on the cost of credit and that loan that is currently being serviced. The meeting, which begins today, is expected to end on Friday. The Monetary Policy Committee will announce its decision on the new policy rate next Monday, as well as the assessment of the health of the economy and the banking sector.
We are looking forward to what the announcement will be come Monday. Now, the standard of living and employment could be affected badly even after COVID-19 is brought under control. This is one of the concerns captured in the latest World Bank report on the Ghanaian economy. According to the bank, the massive job losses as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic has negatively affected income levels of many families. The report also noted that most workers that have been asked to go home will not be recalled even when the pandemic is effectively brought under control. This will, in the long term, worsen the poverty levels in the country. The World Bank was also worried that some of the policy measures being rolled out by government may not be enough to correct the situation. Well, talk of the COVID-19 pandemic, some development partners in Africa have commenced a tracking process to check expenditure of some countries on the continent during the time of the pandemic. Beginning with Ghana, the Transparency and Accountability Project by Budget Ghana, with support from Send Ghana International, intends to promote transparency between African governments and their citizens. Here's a report.
Governments, bilateral and multilateral donors, development banks, philanthropic organizations, and the private sector have contributed funds, equipment, and expertise to support the country's COVID-19 response. Among other resources, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank disbursed $1 billion and $230 million respectively to assist in tackling the pandemic. In tracking the funds, Budget Ghana will undertake major research projects to examine the nation's response to the pandemic, with interest in procurement disclosures and data availability, relief packages to both households and businesses, among others. Here is Country Director for Budget, Refifi Inkum.
This is not a surprise, given the fallout between various African governments and their citizens and donors when funds intended for managing the Ebola crisis were alleged to have been mismanaged. Such tendencies may deepen public trust in the government, thus undermining the efforts to overcome the pandemic. To achieve this objective, Budget Ghana would undertake two major research projects to examine the nation's response to the pandemic. This will cover COVID-related expenditure and the procurement processes, support healthcare workers, stimulus to businesses, household support, and the vaccine rollout.
Deputy Director at Send Ghana, Dr. Emmanuel Aifa, is urging government to make available all data on expenditure relating to the virus to ensure that the finding of the group is accurate.
That's what we think, that it's about time we partner with government. This is not to find fault anyway, but as development partners, we need to look at where the loopholes are, and not until we follow the money, not until we track to make sure that, yes, this is what government actually intended to use the money for. These are the allocations, these are the disbursements that have come in, where monies are going. If we do not do that, I believe that our civil society will also be doing a great disservice to our country, Ghana, and to the people that matter. And so that is what we want. So we are using this opportunity to call on government that, yes, Send Ghana, Budget, and all our partners, of course, will be coming to government to look for certain information that will help us to closely monitor this. And I believe that it wouldn't just end at monitoring. Once we monitor, as we've been doing over the years, we'll sit down with government, we'll engage government for government to understand what the loopholes are.
Concerns about the potential misuse of the COVID-19 funds in developing economies have prompted development partners to take these steps to improve transparency and accountability.
Now, to one of our top stories tonight, former Deputy Energy Minister Mohamed Amin Adam says Talo has announced a $370 million development drilling campaign to explore oil reserves. Now, this move is to ensure that government generates more revenue before the fall of oil prices. Parliamentary correspondent Kwesi Parker-Wilson joins me with more. So, Parker, the former Deputy Energy Minister, also indicated that government is in the process of reviewing contractual agreements with existing oil companies. Why has that become necessary?
Well, as it stands at the moment, the global market is moving away from fossil, which is largely discovered here in the country, to what he calls renewables. And as a matter of fact, the existing agreement between the oil companies in this country is essentially about the exploration of our oil reserves, which is the fossil. And mind you, the oil companies have also indicated that they are going to shut down in the not too distant future. Well, what that would mean is that there will be a shortfall in terms of our revenue. Already there's a revenue challenge. So in order to make sure that we quickly generate a lot of revenue before there is a global shift from fossil to the renewables, all these contractual agreements must be reviewed so that we can attract more investors to come and help with the exploration and the drilling as well, so that the little oil we have we can make some money out of it and invest them into other sectors of the economy before the shift as far as the global dynamics is concerned. So that is the point made by the former Deputy Energy Minister, of course, who is a member of Parliament now. And this has come on the back of the concerns raised by the CSOs, indicating that very soon our oil reserves will deplete. But however, we need to give GNPC the capacity. I mean, it can partner with other companies to quickly go ahead with the drilling of our oil reserves.
Anything more we know about this drilling campaign by Tallow?
Well, what we know is that, according to the former Deputy Energy Minister, the drilling will start next month. And they are hoping that they're going to generate more revenue as far as the drilling is concerned. So already they're in talks with the oil companies, including ENI, to help or assist with the exploration and how we can generate revenues to invest into the other sectors of the economy.
Okay, I can't talk to you, Parker, without mentioning the budget, because lawmakers have been debating the budget. How has it gone so far?
Well, it's been an interesting day, the second day of the budget debate, and today largely has been focused on the road sector, where the minority or the ranking member on the road committee, Honorable Abuja, has indicated that, well, government has, last year generated almost about 1.8 billion within the road sector. So we don't understand why there was a delay as far as road construction is concerned. And they cannot blame that on COVID, because the government position has been that the delay in achieving the year of roads in 2020 is as a result of the pandemic. But however, they declared this year as the second year of roads, which he believes that, well, you cannot blame that on COVID. However, the chairman of the road committee, Kennedy Osenyako, is of the view that, well, they maintain that was the situation, and that is why government today is trying to impose some taxes so that we can generate revenue, just as the information minister has been talking about revenue mobilization. So that is what they seek to do. But there was an argument about the fiscal deficit and how government continued to misreport it. Yesterday, it was very dominant within the discussion when the finance committee, members of the finance committee, engaged in the debate. Today, that has also found expression in the various debates or argument advanced, or the debate for or against the budget. And so largely that's what has happened here. As I'm talking to you now, Parliament had gone on recess for an hour. I've heard the bell being rung, and what it means is that the hour is over, and so members of Parliament are being called to return to the chamber to continue with the debate.
And there's currently a back and forth between the Speaker of the House and the Presidency over the funds allocated to the judiciary and legislature. How do things stand right now?
So I'm sure that yesterday the Speaker was clear. He was very incensed about the Presidency's decision to review the budget estimate for members of Parliament and also the judiciary. Well, today I have the opportunity to speak to the Majority Leader, Osetie Sabonsu, who clearly tells me that the article or the provision in the Constitution which the Speaker used to back his argument was wrongly interpreted. And the point is that that provision only applies to the judiciary and not Parliament. So by extension, the Speaker didn't really understand the provision that he cited. Again, he makes the point that the Speaker does not have the power to hijack the approval of the budget, or even threaten to hijack the approval of the budget, because the budget, when approved by Parliament, has to go to the clerk of Parliament and to append his signature and really forward it to the Presidency. And so he doesn't understand why the Speaker would even say that he would block the approval or won't append his signature if Parliament decides to approve this year's budget. And finally, for him, he got a bit disappointed because there is already a backroom conversation between Parliament and the Presidency. The issue has come before them because Parliament says that, well, continuously their budget allocation have been slashed, and as a matter of fact, there was a need to increase it. That conversation is going on, and so if you have any challenge or concern, what you have to do is to channel your grievances to the appropriate quarters, not to come to the chamber where media men are there, where cameras are there, recorders are there, and make that point. He believes that was misplaced. It was not the best. But however, in spite of yesterday, he has reached out to the presidency. You know that the president is out of the country at the moment. He's in La Côte d'Ivoire, and the executive secretary has indicated that, well, there's nothing they can do about it. So for now, we should maintain what they have. And that when they return to Ghana, they are now going to look at how they can make amends for the slash of the budget allocation for members of parliament and also the judiciary.
All right, my final question, Parker, has to do with the race against time, because government hopes to get all these policies approved by the end of this month. So how soon is that going to happen, looking at the resistance we are seeing from the minority side of the House?
Well, we are told by the majority side is that, I mean, some of these resistance plays out almost every now and then when there is a budget before the House. But eventually, those who are resisting or opposing have the presence of mind to understand that we have a country to run. And so, in spite of the reservations, let's agree to disagree. But however, let's approve the budget so that we can make allocation for ministries and agencies and departments for them to run the activities of this government. And mind you, government has talked about the recovery plan. And without the approval of the budget, what it means is that the country is going to go on recession. That is something we have to avoid. So the majority is confident that in spite of all the concerns raised by the minority yesterday, Ato Forsen raised a number of concerns, accused the Minister of Finance of misreporting or underreporting, and indicated that he has to come to Parliament to make all those changes or correct those anomalies before they can approve the budget. Well, they say that in spite of all these things, they are confident that Parliament, together with majority and minority, will reach a consensus to approve this year's budget for the people of Ghana to also enjoy what are the goodies in the budget or whatever it is that they have to do to make life easier for the people of this country.
Kwesi Parker Wilson, parliamentary correspondent, thank you so much for your reporting. I appreciate it. Now, among the things Ghana can boast about are nutritious meals like fufu. Well, they're tasty, but some take a while to prepare. Well, to celebrate Ghana Month, the Joy Business Van visits Limex, a food processing company which specializes in processing Ghana's popular meals such as kokunte and banku for both the local and international market.
Joy Business Van, empowered by Joy Business and supported by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Welcome aboard the Joy Business Van on its way to Bawe, here in Accra, to meet the CEO of food processing company Limex Foods. John Mante is standing on his balcony in anticipation of our visit. First, we get a tour of his food processing facility. This is where he makes the products his company has become known for: banku flour, fufu flour, yam flour, Hausa cocoa flour, and the palm nut cream. The spare parts dealer first chanced on these processed products while shopping almost a decade ago. He became curious and started asking questions.
I realized that no, this job is a potential job that you can do it once you grow old. So there I found interest in it. And I went to a lady called Selassie. So through our conversation, Selassie also directed me to food research. So I went to food research, and then they taught me how to prepare this plantain flour, banku mix, Hausa cocoa. So then we started small with my wife.
Small, he acquired the equipment to do the processing. Today, he and his team are processing yam into flour that can be used to prepare the local delicacy, fufu. Once grinding is done, mixing takes place and we wait to test the mixture. Final grind and then packaging takes place. John operates from his home. He's converted portions of it into a factory,
producing hundreds of cartons of his products for local supermarkets and for exports. But John could do better. There's so much demand placed on him, but he lacks the financial resources to meet them. It's not just a problem for him, but many local industries.
Now, if I get the order and I'm doing it, you realize that before I realize, people need plantain food to buy on the market. I have to supply. As I'm talking to you now, ShopRite, Melcom, order is in, but I don't have the money to purchase my raw materials for the plantain or the yam flour.
Today, he's got a visit from not-for-profit organization Invest in Africa, which helps SMEs scale up through access to finance, access to market, and access to skills. Lemex Foods signed on recently to the Business Acceleration Program.
In fact, I've got to know Invest in Africa through TechnoServe. And in fact, when I met them, my accounting process was very, very poor. I don't do any recording. I only buy my things and do my things just haphazardly. But when they came to my end, they showed me how to do bookkeeping through EY, and through them, they also prepared my account also for me. And that has helped me a lot. In the former days, even when I'm losing, I may not know. But now I've realized that I know it. And I can also do costing on my product.
For now, John's home has become too small to operate from, and one of his major plans is to set up a bigger factory.